Hey everyone, welcome to Data Millennials. I am Atul, and in this video we are going to discuss the Google Map in Data Studio and specifically about the heat map in Data Studio. And also we are going to build this beautiful heat map from scratch. So you might be thinking that why do we need to use Google Map in our dashboard? But believe me, adding Google Map to your reports gives you and your viewer a familiar interactive environment where they can explore geographical data. Google Maps in Data Studio are highly customizable and it can integrate with any data source that contains a valid geofield. People like map visualization because they are easy to grasp, visually appealing and entertaining. Maps are widely used to highlight particular regions that are notably or specifically different from other regions. So you can see here China is specifically highlighted as compared to other countries over here. So in this tutorial we are going to cover the heat map in detail. Before we go ahead, you should ask or think what exactly is a heat map. So let me tell you, the heat map allows you to plot your data over geographical areas such as country, state, or zip code, or even the latitude and longitude, which will appear as a deep shaded region on the map. This simply means each shaded region on the map is plotted based on its geo coordinates, which is known as latitude and longitude. The density of this shaded region represents the value of the chosen matrix. The higher the value, the deeper the shade or the color will be, and vice versa. So the next question that should be in your mind that how exactly the heat map works. So heat map, or in general Google Map chart, allows us to visualize location data in Google Maps, and based on Data Studio documentation, each Google Map consists of two layers. The first layer is the background layer. So this is the background layer which displays the Google Map interface, and the second is the data layer. So this data layer displays data as the filled region depending upon your configuration. So in Data Studio we have the luxury of controlling the presentation and appearance of map charts, such as the color theme of the base map and the size of these heat maps and many more. All of these configurations are available within the chart property, which we will find out or discuss more when we will be creating this heat map from scratch. So that's being said, let's go and create a heat map in our Data Studio. So what I'm going to do first is that I'm going to click on edit here so that I can edit or add a new page in my Data Studio, and then we will create this entire heat map from scratch. So first I'm going to create a new page here. So we are on the new page, and before we go ahead and add a heat map, so let's go to our data first. So I have a data over here in which I have country name, their ISO codes, then we have data such as the currency of that country, capital of that country, continent in which that country is, and most specifically we will be using the internet users, the number of internet users in a country. So in our heat map we will be representing each and every country, and then we will be representing the number of internet user that country has. So first of all what I need to do is that I need to go on this add a chart button. If I click on it, you will see that I have a heat map over here as an option under this Google Map. So if I click on it, then Google Data Studio will allow me to add a heat map over here on this empty canvas. After adding the heat map, what we can do is that we can increase or decrease the size of this heat map based on our requirement. So I'll put it into the entire page. Now, when I created this heat map and I have this data added in my Google Data Studio, by default, this location field, you will see that country name has been taken because country name is the actual geocode through which Google Data Studio identifies the countries. So by default it has taken the country name in the location field. And if you think about this location field is nothing but a dimension that determines where the data appears on your map. Although you have to note that this field can be of any data type as long as the Google Map can recognize it as a geocode. Now below this location we have this weight. So this weight is an optional matrix that determines how much each individual points in map contribute to the appearance of your heat map. So by default every point has the same value. So currently in this map each and every country which is present in my data has the same value. you can specifically specify a field with weights if you want to assign different values to the points. So our exercise was to show how many internet users were present in each and every country. So what we can do is that we can add a metric over here, says that show me how many internet users are present in each country. So now if you will see, you have a heat map on this Google map where it shows that China has a higher density as compared to India, as compared to Russia, right? As compared to any other countries. Now if I specifically zoom into Asian countries, then you will see that China has a higher density than India, then you will have Pakistan, then you can go to Japan, South Korea, or Thailand, Vietnam. So this heat map allows you to visualize the trends over numerous locations in a single piece of visualization. Now if we talk about this date range part, so if you have date range in your data set, then you can add over here, but currently in our data set we do not have any date value or date column, so we cannot add any date range dimension, right? Now if you want to add a particular filter in your heat map, then you can go over here and add a filter. So let's, for the sake of an example, what we can do is that we can filter the country. Okay, so let's put over here a filter, says that country filter. Okay, and I want to include only two countries, let's say India and Pakistan. Okay, so I need to select a field over here. So let's select country name and let's select this condition which says equal to, and I'll put the first condition which is India. Okay, and then if I want to add another country into my condition, then again I need to select include. I need to select the field country name, then equal to Pakistan, and let's click on save. So what this filter will do is that it will only show India and Pakistan in this entire map. The data will be filtered and you will be able to see only India and Pakistan shaded region as a heat map area. Now if we talk about style, then the first option in style is the background layer. In the starting of our video we discussed about the background layer, right? So the background layer displays the Google Map interface. Now if you want to change this to a satellite view, you can select it from here, and if you select a satellite view, it will give you an exact same replica of Google Map as you have seen in your mobile phone or on your desktop. So let's select map only. Now the next option that we have here is style. If you want to select a different style of this Google Map, either you can select the silver. When you will select silver, the entire background of this entire Google Map will change to silver. Now if you select standard, you will see your entire background will start reflecting the Google Map in a standard format. Then we have an option of dark. If you select this dark, your entire Google Map background will change into black and white, where your entire background will be black and the country names will be in white, and then you have your shaded regions over here. Now the last option that we have is edit JSON. If you want your own background layer for Google Map, then you can use this edit JSON option, but for us we'll select silver only. Now if we go down to style, we have this option of roads. Let me zoom in a little bit so that I can show you what exactly this road, landmark and labels do. Okay, so you can see over here, this is the connecting roads in India, right? And if you do not want your user to see this interconnected roads, then what you can do is that you can minimize this roads option, and in your Google Map user or you won't be able to see this connecting roads. Now if we talk about landmark, then if you have a specific landmark or you have specifically zoomed into a particular area and there are multiple landmarks, for example in India we can talk about Taj Mahal or Red Fort near Delhi, then if you zoom a lot, then you will be able to see those landmarks. But if you do not want your user to see those landmarks, you can minimize this one, and then your user won't be able to see the name of those landmarks. Similarly, we have these labels. These labels allow us to see the state's name in India right now, or any state name or any city name in your Google map. Now if you do not want your user to see these states name, or you feel that your map seems a little cluttered with these names, what you can do is that you can simply minimize these labels, and you will see that these names would not appear on your map anymore. So for us, let's keep the label name at maximum so that we can see the state names. Now if we go down, you will see that you have a layer option here, right? So currently we are using heat map, and when you have selected the heat map using this add a chart button, by default this layer type will be selected as heat map. So if you want this heat map to be changed as filled areas or line map or bubble map, then you can do it from here. But as this is the example of heat map, we will stick with it. So we will not change this layer type. Now the next option that we have is the heat map layer. So this seems pretty confusing, that what exactly is that heat map layer. So a heat map layer allows you to aggregate the points to create the visualization. To create the map, a circle is drawn around each point, as you can see here, right? And value in the circle decreases as the distance from the point increases. So these settings can be controlled from here. Now suppose you have multiple times a country names is getting repeated in your data, and you want to have sum of those values, then you can use the aggregation sum or mean value. Now if you have single record for each country, then ideally you should always use sum, but if you need to use average, then you can select average over here from this heat map layer. So let's select sum over here, right? Now below this heat map layer you have this slider control. This slider control helps you to set the relative size of these circles. Okay, so currently it's in between, so let's increase the size over here. With the increase of this size of this slider control, you will see that the size of this circle has increased, or this heat map has increased, right? So this slider helps you to set the size of these circles. Now this is the opacity. It helps you to set the opacity of circles. So currently it's at 70%. By default, Google Data Studio will always set the opacity at 70%, and if you need to change it, you can come over here and select either 0% or you can 100% select it. Based upon your requirement, based on your need, you can select. So let's select 80% over here. Okay, now the next option that we have is the color domain minimum, color domain maximum. These two helps you to set minimum and maximum values of the color range. Now if you want to have a hard-coded color range, then you can select over here and you can select the numbers. The minimum range should be 8 and the maximum range should be, let's say, 1000, right? Now it only helps you when you have a data where the number or the matrices starts with a certain number and ends at a certain number. So you can select the color domain maximum value and the minimum value using this color range selection. Now the last option that we have over here is the intensity. So this intensity helps you to adjust the range of colors in heat map toward the high or low. So if you want to increase the intensity of the color, you can increase this intensity part, or if you want to decrease it, you can keep the intensity part at the lower or the minimum position, so that your intensity will be lower of these colors. Okay, now the next option that we have over here is the colors. So based on the metrics, you can change the colors over here. So suppose the maximum number, I want it to be in green color, so I can select green, and then the mid value I can select it as this color, and the last value or the minimum value I can select it as this blue color. Now it doesn't make sense over here because we have applied the filter, so let's remove the filter so that we can see what changes has been done in the map. So let's go back to style. So what we have done over here is that we have selected the different colors for maximum value and minimum value. Let me zoom it out a little bit. And let me reduce the size of this as well as this opacity to 60%. And let's remove this domain color because this is not required for our example. Now if we go down, we have this map control, and let's uncheck everything so that we can check it one by one and explain you what exactly this does. So the first option that we have is allow pan and zoom. If you check this button, then you and your user will be able to pan or zoom into the map using these buttons. Now the second option is show zoom control. Now if you remove this zoom control, your user won't be able to see the zoom button, but I would highly recommend you to add this zoom control over here so that your users can, based on their requirement, zoom on a particular country and zoom out. Now the next option that we have, show street view control. Now if you click on this, then you will see that there is a pegman which will help your user to put it into a particular street, and then Google Map will allow your user to see the street view within the Google Map. Now the next option that we have is the show full screen control. If you select this button, then in the extreme right side of your map you will have this full screen view toggle button, and this will help your user to put the Google Map on their entire screen. The next option that we have is the show map type control, and if you click on it, then you are allowing your user to select either the satellite view or the map view from the Google Map only. The last option that we have over here is the show scale control, and if you click on it, then your user will be able to see that how much they have zoomed in or zoomed out of a particular region from here. If we go down, we have this weight legend, right? So for us, our weight was selected as internet user, right? And by default you will see that Google Data Studio has selected the position as bottom, which is over here, right? And the alignment is left. Now if you want to change it, you can change it to left, right, top based on your requirement. So let's select right over here so that this will move to the right side, and then the alignment will be bottom. Okay, now your width legend has been moved to the right hand side and the bottom side. Now if you want to show the legends, you can keep on selecting this button, or if you do not want to show the legend, then you can uncheck it. But I would highly recommend you to always select this show legend title so that the user can see what metrics they are seeing right now. Okay, the next option that we have is the legend font color. If you want to change the font's color, you can select your font color based on your requirement. Similarly, we have the font family over here. Based on your requirement, you can select the font family also. Now you can see over here that the numbers are present and it's quite big, right? It's huge. Now if you want your user that they can see the number in a compact form, you can select this option where these numbers will be compacted. So it's 238 billion. Earlier it was quite tough to read the number. Now it's pretty much easy that 238 billion, the total number of internet users throughout the world is 238 billion. Now there is an option for decimal precision. You can increase the decimal precision based on your requirement, and the decimal precision will be increased over here as well as on your data on the map also. Now if we talk about the second last option over here is the background and border. Now if you want to change the background, not the background of the Google Map but the background under this Google Map layer, then you can change it from here. So let's select this red color so that I can show you how does this work. So under this layer, this background or this border works. So if you want to change the color, you can change it from here, background and border section. Now if you want to add the borders, then you can add it from here. The border style opacity is 100%. So by default, Google Data Studio will always set the opacity at 100%. Based on your requirement, you can increase or decrease it. We have this border color over here. Now if you want to change the border color, you can change it from here, and the border weight can be changed from here. Now if you want to change the border style, you can click on the border style and select based on your requirement either dotted, dash or solid lines. Now the last option that we have over here is the chart header. Now if you want to show your chart header on your dashboard, you can always select this always show, or if you do not want to show the chart header, you can select this do not show button and your chart header will not appear. So we have already created this beautiful heat map on our Data Studio from scratch, and Now, as we have created this heat map, we should have knowledge about the limitations of this heat map also. So the first limitation of this heat map is that the limited heat up value, or the limited heat up regions. So Google Data Studio will allow you up to 1 million of heated region. So for heat map using latitude and longitude field, you may be able to include up to 1 million fielded region, and by default the maximum number of region is set to 100k, but you have the option to increase it to 1 million based on your requirement. And the second limitation of this Google heat map in Data Studio is that it doesn't allow us for a drill down option. One of the major disadvantages of using Google Map is that we are not allowed to drill up or drill down to the city view or country view or even a continent view. But even with these two limitations, I would recommend you to definitely check out this heat map if you're looking to provide such cool functionality to your users. So happy learning and see you in the next video.